So
Yeah. Well, good for him. I want to jump into natural law. I'd like for you to explain to listeners who are really unfamiliar with natural law kind of what that is. And you've mentioned morality a couple of times. I just want to say it's interesting that modern people have challenges with that word morality. You know,
oh, a
it's
lot of
like, I know moral. You're high and mighty. You're telling me what to do. It's church,
yeah.
religion. You know, all of this. And so,
Totally.
because of that, it's just so clear that we don't want to face it. And I mean, even in like, I'm an ordained unity minister, and I have to say that I don't know if you know much about unity, but morality isn't really a part of the unity movement. And it's something that's so missing. People are afraid to talk about what do we need to be, what do we need to do to be moral people, because it has all this judgment and all this judginess and everything. So I really want to talk about morality and how natural law is about morality and how this is really, really a good positive thing for humanity. So can you just share a little bit about how, how would you describe natural law?
A
Well,
basic,
before we go into it, I want to just touch on the morality piece because I think it's important. That's at the foundation of natural law is that morality is objective. It is what it is. It doesn't change based on your perspective, what you believe, what you think you know, what feels good. And that kind of goes to that thing that you were saying about people. We tell ourselves the stories we want to tell to keep doing what's comfortable. And so what the biggest shocker for us when we were going around doing our survey and asking people questions, when we get to that question, we just say, is morality objective or subjective? Does it matter what the circumstances are, or can an action be judged on what the action is and not take all that into play? And most people say that it's subjective, that it's just based on my feelings and my experience. And if I decide that something's moral, then it becomes moral. And that's a huge problem. Natural law tells us that that's not the case. So you
so
want to talk about natural
a
law?
basic definition would be that it is a set of unchangeable, immutable, ever-present set of rules, basically, that govern our behaviors and actions in the world. You could call it karma. There's a lot of different ways you can kind of describe it. But basically, what you do to others will be done to you.
That's the golden rule.
The
That's
golden rule.
the primary rule. And there's a lot of traditions that kind of package up natural law and put it in a different way. So if you look into like the Hermetic principles and Hermeticism, it goes deep into to a lot of those things where you talk about like the law of correspondence and the law of rhythm and the generative principle and all these things that exist. These are all aspects of natural law. These are things that are. This is the way that it works. This is what is. Natural law tells us that there is such a thing as truth with a capital T. It is what has happened. It is what is. It's not your truth and it's not my truth and it's not our truth. It's the truth. And so that's like one of the like main principles as if you're a truth seeker, if you're somebody who's wanting to understand the truth, you start by having to accept the fact that there is such a thing as truth. Because if there is no truth, then why are you a truth seeker? What is it that you're seeking? And there's nothing that you can find. And so you start with that first idea that there is truth. There is truth out there. It can be found. It is what has happened. There are a lot of other truth seekers who have done work before us, who we can look at their work and we can see the body of what it is that they've shared. There's a lot of esoteric writings out there. There's a lot of super valuable truth in a lot of religions, in a lot of religious texts. They're full of very powerful, profound capital T truths. What we find is that unfortunately, because people get involved in a lot of aspects of religion, that there tends to be aspects that we don't feel aligned with capital T truth, and that kind of gets skewed along the way. And so that's why we consider ourselves more on the spiritual aspect of this truth search and not the religious aspect of it, and that we respect people's beliefs, but that we also understand that there's parts about all of it that don't really all go together and tie in, because there's some aspect there that's trying to take some of the control and the power. It could be the institution, it could be the people that are involved in it, but that we have direct connection to source, and that we can get these truths of natural law ourselves, and we don't need the structure and the institutions to allow us access to that stuff.
And something that I would say, just short to add to that, is that, as the natural law is very simple. people want to build up everything to be so complicated, but it's so simple. And you really, to understand like morality, it's not asking, okay, well, what can I do? What are good actions? Because you can do so many things that are good because they're not going to cause harm to people. It's more important to boil down this understanding to what is a wrong. What is it that's actually a wrong action? And it all comes down to one thing: do not steal. Every form of wrong we can consider is a form of theft, whether it's murder and you're stealing someone's life, it's rape and you're stealing their sexual energy, it's theft and they're stealing your possessions,
Lying, stealing the truth.
stealing the truth, and we can go on from there. But it's really very simple.